accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure.
This may be the last time we see our legend, the greatest fighter of this generation. I told y'all back then that Bud would beat Floyd Mayweather. Y'all didn't believe me.
Do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it, what for what? Terence Crawford, we know what you are.
Analysts explain why Terence Crawford is now seen as a GOAT after his landmark victory over Canelo Alvarez. Many believe his ability to climb weight divisions and still dominate shows a rare greatness that separates him from former champions. Robert Garcia supported this by saying Crawford has achieved more than Floyd Mayweather in this respect. He pointed out that Crawford convincingly won 9 to 10 rounds and showed a drive that Canelo could not match. Garcia stressed that Mayweather never took such a gamble, making Crawford's triumph even more historic in the sport's record books.
Has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised at how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes.
Greg Hackett firmly dismissed the claim that Terence Crawford needs another major fight to prove his greatness, especially after Turkey Alshik mentioned David Benavidez as an option. Hackett argued that Crawford already secured his legacy by moving up in weight to defeat Canelo Alvarez in dominant style, something few thought possible. For Hackett, the win was not just another victory. It was a defining moment that placed Crawford's name among the sport's all-time greats. He stressed that Crawford's jump from welterweight to super middleweight to conquer one of the era's most respected champions was unmatched. To him, this single achievement guarantees Crawford's place, and he does not need Benavidez or anyone else to validate it. Hackett said sometimes one fight tells a whole story, and Crawford's win over Canelo is that fight.
The Evel Knievel effect, like, all right, you jumped over 3 buses. Let's say if you could do 10 buses. You know what I'm saying? He trying to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175. And, you know, I believe Benavidez has some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68 and he was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Yeah. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights that started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No, man.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point. Like I said, Bud needs to just go get a line of suits. You know what I'm saying? Get ready to just start talking about this shit.
What kind of suits, though?
I don't know. I don't know what's the best suits right now.
Showbiz Adal called Crawford's victory one of the greatest single-fight feats in modern boxing. He admired how Crawford rose from welterweight to middleweight and finally to 168 pounds, following a clear plan that ended with conquering Canelo Alvarez. For him, this was no lucky break, but the result of flawless preparation, with each step building toward the ultimate test. Showbiz insisted the fight looked like destiny. Crawford was sharp, confident, and fully ready. He declared that Crawford no longer has anything to prove because this was a defining fight. For Showbiz, the sport has already seen enough to close the debate on Crawford's greatness, as his domination of Canelo displayed every quality of a true legend. He suggested there is no need for more challenges since Crawford has already proven his place at the very top.
Thoroughly just knew there was no way Terence Bud Crawford beat Saul Canelo Alvarez at 168. Canelo Alvarez was the super middleweight undisputed champion and younger. Terence Crawford was 26 at lightweight. Canelo Alvarez at 26, what was he, a middleweight? Terence Bud Crawford just grew to 154 at 36 years old. Canelo hasn't been able to make 154 since he was a baby. Terence Bud Crawford jumped up from welterweight to super middleweight to beat one of the greatest fighters of all time, to become 3-time undisputed in 3 different weight classes. Enough said.
Enough said.
It shed light on his victory against Errol the Truth Spence. That is for damn sure. Just the way he dominated him. Errol Spence was in there like, what the? If Canelo is saying there wasn't shit I can do in there, Errol Spence had to have been in there like, holy shit. It brings light to his resume. Everybody ducked him. We kind of knew that Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao avoid Terence Crawford. I can't say Manny Pacquiao avoided Terence Crawford, but Bob Arum definitely did. PBC, welterweights in the PBC all avoided him. I am here to give credit to Terence Crawford for being one of the most ducked fighters in history. So you cannot any longer blame his resume, his greatness, and look at his resume when we all know, genuinely, we have to be genuine, that he is one of the most ducked fighters of all time, like Bob Foster, like Black Murderers Row, Charlie Burley and Eddie Booker and all those guys. Listen, Terence Crawford by himself is Black Murderers Row of this era. Now, do I need Terence Bud Crawford to continue fighting? Hell no. For what? If you beat Terence Crawford now, what do you want him to do? Strip down to 160, lose that muscle mass he has, and be a little bit... We saw that with Roy Jones Jr., but he can do it. He's the everything man. He can do it. But what I'm saying is, if you have a victory over this man now, just does it... What for what?
Tim Bradley has long defended Terence Crawford's greatness, and after this fight he felt fully justified. He reminded fans that he always called Crawford the toughest man alive, and the way Crawford dealt with Canelo Alvarez proved him right. Bradley pointed out that many doubters believed Crawford was too small to succeed at higher weights. Yet he not only competed but won with surprising ease. He noted how effortless a performance looked, almost like Crawford was sparring instead of facing one of boxing's hardest punches. In Bradley's opinion, this win lifts Crawford above most champions, even ahead of Floyd Mayweather. He argued that Crawford now belongs at the very top of the greatest ever debate. For Bradley, this fight was about more than beating Canelo. It was about redefining pound-for-pound greatness and possibly being the best boxer the sport has ever seen.
Dare you? Terence Bud Crawford, the baddest man on the planet. Y'all saying, no, he too small, Tim. He too small. Man, that was easy. That was easy. That was more easier than I thought. Terence said he was going to have him crying, and he had him crying when they was walking out. They was crying. Oh, yeah. They were damn crying. They was upset. Head was down. They couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Oh, yeah. Boxing performance. I told y'all this was going to be one of the greatest boxing performances of all times. I told y'all. Y'all didn't believe me. Oh, Tim, you over here. You riding Crawford. You riding him like he God. You riding him like he invincible. All this stuff. You don't see that greatness now? You don't see that greatness. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and hop on the train. It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep. Y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Luke Thomas described Crawford as nothing short of a boxing mastermind. He reflected on how Canelo Alvarez, long compared to legends and dominant against many challengers, was made to look ordinary under Crawford's control. To Thomas, it echoed Crawford's earlier win against Ricky Burns, but on a far bigger and more historic level. Canelo is far from an average fighter. He is one of the most accomplished and skilled champions of this generation. Yet Crawford dismantled him with accuracy. Thomas said the genius was not just in the win, but in how Crawford read every move, timed everything perfectly, and erased Canelo's usual weapons. He called the performance a masterclass that stunned analysts with how smooth it looked. The fact that Crawford made a fighter of Canelo's stature appear so average is what Thomas believes secures him as one of the sharpest minds the sport has ever seen.
Effect because it wasn't working, or they were threatened in some kind of way. It was fucking Canelo. Canelo had some good punches in this fight. I thought early on that left hook to the body, which he got away from in the middle parts of the fight, got back to it a little bit at the end, but again, he was catching and shooting was a big part of why that went away. Bud was like bop, catching him for it. Several times he hit him with that. Canelo had a decent jab at times. That right hand was able to catch Bud cleanly a couple of times, but not really. Bud's face looked normal, fine. You would never have known he went 12 rounds. Remarkable. Remarkable beyond words, man. Remarkable. That is so, I fucking hope and pray that everyone who is I don't know what the casuals are going to say. I really don't. But for the real fight fans, the ones who are probably watching the stream, I hope you appreciate what you just took a look at. Daring to be great. Daring to do what people just basically, people have unified, or I should say, gone undisputed in 3-weight classes before, but it's exceedingly rare, right? And to go up such a fucking jump. And let's go over one more thing if we can here for just a moment. One of the things that Bud has been trying to argue is that the boxing establishment has overlooked him. He was never their darling. He was never the guy that they picked. He was never the one that they chose ahead of time and was like, we're going to anoint you as our figure. He was never that guy, that was not him. And beating Spence got him a pretty far away in terms of changing attitudes, but Canelo was the big one because Canelo was that guy. Now, Canelo, of course, earned everything he's gotten too. That's not the point. But what I'm trying to say is Canelo was the promotional darling. Hello, the face of boxing. You know what I mean? And not just the face of boxing in this country, the face of boxing in another country. Dude, this motherfucker was the face of boxing worldwide, but in particular in North America, right? and something of a promotional darling, and always the A side, and this, that, and the other. And that was not Crawford's journey, man. That was, that was not Crawford's, he was fighting the Ricky Burns of the world. That was not his trajectory.